At the end of the film Memento, which is of course at the beginning of the story told by the sequences which are in color, Leonard states the fundamental premise that he is proceeding under, that the world continues to exist and that his actions in this world continue to have meaning even if he can't remember them. But he qualifies this faith by stating that we all need some attachment to reality in order to know who we are.
Do I believe the world's still there? Is it still out there? Yeah. We all need mirrors to remind ourselves who we are.
Memento and Inception use mirrors to portray visually the complex dual natures of the characters. While speaking on the phone, Leonard looks at himself in the mirror, reading over the tattoos he's given himself to remind him of his mission. And later, Natalie also uses a mirror to read his freaky tattoos. Natalie's own dual nature as both damsel in distress and femme fatale is represented visually by her intimate conversation with Leonard in this scene. She confides in him that she has also lost someone and uses their mutual sense of loss to secure Leonard's trust. This allure is so powerful that Leonard is able to keep it in his mind and make a note of it long after it should have faded from his memory. The elements of Leonard's personal narrative are also visible in these mirror scenes. Notice that the only tattoo on Leonard's body rendered in reverse and thus readable in a mirror is the sentence, "John G. raped and murdered my wife." There are other tattoos that he can read without a mirror because they appear on places on his body that he can directly observe, but his mission statement, "Find him and kill him," is rendered unreversed on his torso, as though it is not for him but for others to read. Mirrors are also used in the film to represent Leonard's reorientation to the reality he has constructed. In this scene, Leonard washes his hands in a men's room and recalls Sammy Jenkins. Leonard has edited the memory of Sammy to fit his own narrative and has thus created a duel for himself, which is represented by the mirror. The scene where Leonard finds himself in Dodd's bathroom is at the beginning of a color sequence and is thus disorienting to both Leonard and the audience. We don't know how he got there or why he's holding a bottle of alcohol. Leonard checks himself out in the bathroom mirror and proceeds to take a shower, during which he's assaulted by Dodd. This scene is a heroic reconstruction of the assault on his wife. In this case, Leonard prevails over his assailant and the bathroom mirror remains intact, revising the history of the assault in his home, where his head was violently thrown into his bathroom mirror. The broken mirror in the home invasion assault represents Leonard's broken memory and his inability to know himself without it. In Inception, reflective surfaces are also used to depict character duality. In Saito's Dream Fortress, there is a large, polished mahogany table, which is seen both during Cobb's audition and when Cobb returns to rescue Saito from limbo. The table is reminiscent of the monolith in Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey, and the reflections of the lanterns in the room are reminiscent of the stars the monolith was famously full of. Saito's transformation into an old man is also reminiscent of Dave Bowman's evolution into the Star Child, which also took place in a constructed virtual reality. In the audition scene, we see Saito, Arthur, and Cobb reflected strongly in the table. The image reinforces the layers of character duality in the scene. Cobb is pretending to pitch Saito his services while he is really there to steal from him, and Saito is pretending to consider Cobb's proposals when he is really there to audition him for Inception. Cobb's inability to discern dreams from reality is played out in the scene where he tests himself with the totem. His hotel room is reflected in the mirrored windows, projecting an image of the room over the cityscape beyond. This reflection represents the projection of Cobb's inner mind over reality. The use of mirrors is seen again in this scene in the hotel bathroom, where Cobb pretends to be Mr. Charles, a subconscious projection employed by Fisher to defend himself against psychological attack, when of course Cobb is the one doing the attacking. In the sequence where Arthur explains paradoxical architecture to Ariadne, we see his psychological projections reflected in the mirror-like glass of the building's windows. Arthur is framed so the projections literally walk through his head. This highlights the essential duality between the conscious and the subconscious mind. The subconscious moves in its linear agenda and is not influenced by reason or conscious thought. Of all the characters, it is Eames, the forger, who is most comfortable manipulating this duality. Eames is seen here in multiple reflection, preparing to imitate Fisher's godfather, Peter Browning, played by Tom Berenger. Eames's comfort with duality is reflected in his rivalry with Arthur, who stresses rationality.
Arthur, you still working with that stick in the mud?
He's good at what he does, right?
Oh, he's the best. He has no imagination.
Not like you.
Listen, if you're going to perform Inception, you need imagination.
Imagination is precisely the part of the psyche being manipulated in the film. Ideas incepted in a target must seem to come from their own imagination.